What is going on, YouTube? Welcome to Season 1, Episode 18 of Let's Build the U.S.S. Enterprise A 2.0. I'm Zerleet, and I just want to thank you very much for tuning in today's episode. If you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, helping me and supporting the channel. I can't thank you guys enough for that. Man, today we've got almost a 19-minute episode, so without further ado, we're going to go ahead and dive right in this thing. We're going to be picking up right where we left off, closing in the rest of the bridge area, and then we're going to be shifting gears to build out our ample nacelles. So you can see I'm just following my cut line here, did a row of blue, and then I'm coming back with some cyan just to give it a little bit of texture difference, and then we'll close this off and throw a temporary D on this area. We have to close in the back immediately following it. But as you guys can see here, I just continued on closing in our top with the pattern that we had. I didn't do anything fancy. Some of this stuff I didn't fill in on camera, but once we got our outline in place, we're just going to be closing all this stuff in. Now, if you're happy enough with this is what I was saying in episode 17, that we are going to make one more revision on the top of the saucer, specifically the bridge and the shelf that the bridge sits on. Because for me, at this point, you guys, hopefully you can see what I see. But when you look at the sides of the shelf, and this is what I mean by the shelf, this piece, and how it blends in with the saucer, it doesn't look terrible, but the hull lines is really what's messing me up here, and it's not flowing like it needs to, at least for me. But with that being said, this doesn't look terrible. There might be some people out there who be like, you know what, Zero, I dig your idea that you want to flesh this out even more, but I'm happy enough with this as it is. I'm not going to mess with it anymore. And listen, that's what you want to do, I say do it. Do whatever works for you. I will say in the front here, and this is something else that I can see, we didn't spend too much time looking at it from the front, but this the front of the bridge looks off to me. I can't quite put my finger on it at this point in the build, but I'm thinking like, okay, well maybe if I go in and I start adding in some of the detail to the bridge, it'll fix that and it'll look more how it's supposed to look. But I think it's just the template that I have here that the shape, it's not coming out as close as it should be. Because remember what I told you guys that before, I had something that was a little bit closer to a circle. So we had the pattern of 2 on each end before it goes into a pattern of 3 singles. And if I'm not mistaken, we get rid of that and just go to straight single cut line going straight across. And that really ends up fixing that issue. And there's 1 or 2 things I think that I also did in addition to that. I just can't recall what it is off the top of my head. Don't hold that against me. At this point, it's been a minute since I built this ship out, so it can be a little bit trying at times remembering everything. And you guys got to remember too, like, doing tutorials for these ships is not easy. I truly believe in my heart, if this was so easy, you would have thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people doing tutorials for these ships. And that's why you don't, because of how difficult it actually is. Because 1, you have to build at a slow enough point that people can keep up with you and see what you're doing. 2, you have to be able to do it in a way that makes sense. And then 3, you have to be able to explain it in a way that makes sense. Now, I'll be the first one to admit I'm not perfect. Even I make mistakes, and I can make big ones. Nobody's perfect, but I do try. So if there are things that you guys see me doing that I can improve upon, I'm all for constructive criticism. As long as you're not a jerk about it, I'm all for it. But those people that want, the shock value comments and things like that to get a rise out of you, you get muted. Just letting you know ahead of time. I ain't got time for all that. I don't know about y'all, but Maybe it's just because I'm getting older, but mm-mm. But we're looking pretty good here. You can see we're just adding in a hull line here. Um, it can be a challenge with doing some of this detailing in on the ships because sometimes less is more. And we'll get into that a little bit more as we go. But right now, we're going to start to do the outline template for our engines. So you can see I did the gray concrete block at the very top of our pylons, and I'm starting to build off of that. Off that top block, one block above it. I'm not going out one with a cut, but what we're going to be start counting will be out one with a cut, obviously, because that gray block right there is considered a dead space. So you're not going to count that with how many that we're going to be counting out. And if you want to go further into the beans of it, of what I'm doing here, I have multiple screens up at this for the build. So I have my reference photos up. I have the 3D, the reference photos that I personally made for this build. And I also have the 3D model that I had commissioned for this build. And I'm comparing what I currently have to that reference material. Am I going far enough forward with the nacelles? Is it in proportion? Does it match up with what I have here? These are all key things that you have to take into consideration. Also, we're going to break down the shape of the nacelle. So, the front of the nacelle, I don't even know if there's necessarily a shape to describe it, but it's almost like, imagine like a fireman's axe. And you take the axe, the metal portion off the tip. So all you're left with is your very long wooden handle. You take that handle, not at the very bottom, but the top end, and you start to shave it into a point. That's kind of what we're making here. But it is going to be much more pointy. We're also, obviously, we need to take into consideration the original Constitution class refit, because that's what this build is heavily influenced on. So I'm really trying to keep the essence of that. So in this case, the nacelles, but how can we update them in a way that works within the Kelvin timeline while also staying true to how they looked originally? And basically what I came up with was to cut the back ends of them, the bottom part, so that they angle going upwards into a point. And what that did is that they end up being a lot more futuristic as a result, while still maintaining that very classic look. And this is where I talk about breaking down your shapes and what you're making, because when you start to identify what those shapes are, you can better build it out. So I think I went up too high here. I want to double check my work and what I deleted. So I'm going to do a blue builder line going straight across. Always important. Go back, check your work. I'd never in a million years ask you guys to do something that I don't do myself. And you guys see it all the time. I double check because mistakes can happen. It can happen to anybody. Especially when you're playing Minecraft, because like, I don't know about you guys, but like sometimes you can just be making something and like you're just throwing stuff and like you're just following the pattern, throwing stuff down, and like you don't even notice that you made a mistake. It just happened and you didn't even notice it, and maybe a few minutes later, maybe a couple weeks later, you don't even notice the mistake until later on, and it's like, oh crap, I can't believe I did that. Got to go back and fix it. Like I said, don't beat yourself up over it. I try not to. These things are going to happen. This is supposed to be a fun experience, not something that's stressful. Now I don't know if this is going to work right here from where I'm starting the cut line going back because of the pylons. Because doing it the way that I'm doing it right now, what's going to happen is that the pylons are going to end up getting elongated much more. And not only that, my the length of each row, it's not nearly long enough. I'd go up to the top within a few rows. The best thing to do with this, to break it down in the most simplest way that I possibly can, we need to go off the top row first. We're going to extend this out to the length that it needs to be extended to. What I'm going to do, just to save a little bit of time, I'm bringing this right up to the very tip of the back end of our nacelle. I'm not going to count all that out going forward. We don't need to. We've already measured it out. We're just going to use our builder lines to verify. Once we go past that point, I'll go slow enough so this way you guys can stay with me and count this out. But I want you to do the same thing, because this is what I do when I'm building these ships out. I don't do anything super crazy. I literally just eye it and compare that to my references to see what I got to do. And if I can get you guys doing that also, I think that's going to help out a lot of people, because at the end of the day, these things don't have to match up 110% one for one. This is something that you're going to see on the Enterprise D Season 2 when that comes out, and I feel like I'm going to blow people away when they see it, because I've had some people say like, oh my god, like I can't believe how accurate that thing is to what you did originally. And it's like, there's a few areas on there where it's not accurate. It varies a little bit, but you'd never know because it stays close enough to what I did, because I followed the steps that were laid in front of me in the tutorial series, and I wasn't super concerned with placement for block. I just listened to what I needed to do in that moment. But anyway, now that we've got the top portion established out, we can maybe start to develop this cut line on the bottom at least a little bit. We haven't gotten the full length out to what we need to. I think honestly what we should be doing here is I need to bring out that top line all the way out, and then I can better facilitate how these cuts are going to go. But with this, with us elongating it and having it that stretched out, angled up look, each row needs to be a little bit longer, but keep them consistent so every row matches as you go upward. So as an example, you can do 10, 10, 10, 10, but you do a row of 10 up and out with a cut, row of 10 up and out with a cut. You do row 12 up and out with a cut. But the shorter row you do, the faster it's going to progress. You do it too long and it's not going to progress enough. So this might take maybe a couple of attempts looking at different patterns to see what's going to work best for you. So you can see we're doing, I believe, rows of 12. That's not looking too bad. Because the other thing too, we don't want these nacelles to be super long. This isn't a massive ship. They're going to need to come back, obviously, past the, excuse the phrase, but past the ass end of the ship. We're going to have to come back a little bit more. Because that's how it is on the original Constitution, and frankly, any Constitution that has come out since. But you don't want to make them that long. Now, I'll also admit, because I originally said we needed to bring out this top row first to determine our cut on the bottom, You can do the bottom like we're doing here, but I think that's what I'm doing it right now is a little bit harder if you already had your length determined. But at this point, either or works just fine. Now you can see I'm not worrying about counting all this out because I'm following what I have here, and I'm just going to bring it out. So if you're doing rows of 12, you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rows. Once you've done all 9 rows, this top line, you're going to bring this going all the way out until it's matching up with that bottom row. Very, very simple what we're doing here. I feel like a lot of the times, to be fair, is that I think that people overcomplicate these things. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's not even super hard. Some people just make it a little bit harder than it needs to be. Yeah, see, I really like, and I'm sorry I'm jumping a little bit here, but I want to talk about this a little bit more. You can see I'm adjusting now. We're going back to the pylons and I'm making some adjustments. I really want that extra progression on the very back end of them, but I want to rework it a little bit maybe to go with what we have, because as you can see it's not perfectly matching up, so we're gonna have to fill in some of that gap. Now don't worry about it right now because well, don't worry about everything matching up perfectly because we will get there, but again, let's follow those steps. You gotta throw something down, see how it looks, see what we have to do. But we're going to also make sure that as we're going, we do one thing on one side, we're going to do it on the other side. This is another important rule. And once we've gone through that, go back and check your work. What I should do, instead of having a disclaimer, or instead of I'm not going to do it. I'm totally kidding ahead of time. So I don't want anyone to get mad at me. But what I should do, instead of talking about my rules in every episode, I should just put a disclaimer up on all my videos. YouTube, Zero Elite's YouTube rules disclaimer ahead of every episode. So this way, people that need it can get reminded. That's terrible though. No, I don't mean that at all. I would never do that. And I'm just trying to have a little bit of fun on this on these videos as I'm going, and maybe opening up a little bit more if I can. I'm a very reserved person as I've gotten older, and I'm trying to show a little bit more of my personality if I can, and in the most positive way that I possibly can, and also maybe being a little bit entertaining at the same time. It's kind of weird for me because like honestly, I don't like hearing myself talk. It makes me a little bit nervous, if I'm being completely honest with you. But I hear from people that I do have a good voice and that I'm good at it, so I'm trying to run with it. But if there's anything that you guys would like to see me improve upon, let me know in the comments. I definitely love hearing from everybody because, you know, constructive criticism is vital to anybody's life. That's just something that I've learned as I've gone through my life, and no matter what it is, constructive criticism is never a bad thing. It helps you improve to get better. So I try to embrace it. But getting back in what we got going on here, she's starting to look pretty good. Now you can see that what I did on the very back end, I just went up and out, and I did patterns of 1, 2, 3, 4 and rows of 2 just to give it that arch look, and there you have it. And maybe you can see what I mean here now that we actually have it all the way built out. If you take a fireman's axe and you take the axe off and you shave the end of it, kinda, sorta, kinda, But this is how you do this. And I promise you guys, trust me on these processes, because this will help you. And it's going to help to make your builds even better. But I think that's going to do it for me today. We've shot through 18 minutes. I've probably blown up into at least 20. But I just want to thank everybody again for tuning in today's episode. And if you did enjoy this content, if you can help me out, hit that like and subscribe button, helping me supporting the channel. I can't thank you guys enough for that. Drop a comment below. The biggest things I need right now, if you guys can help me out, is views and watch hours. Those are the most important things right now. Really will help my channel to grow. So if you don't have anything going on, throw one of my playlists up on your YouTube channel and let it ride on your YouTube. I'd greatly appreciate it. But anyway, I think that's going to do it for me today. I just want to thank everybody again for tuning in today's episode. I hope everybody has a happy and safe weekend. And of course, what did you make in Minecraft? Post your photos in the Discord.